Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to TrainHR's live webinar on time and task management, working smart. My name is Michael, and I'll be your host for today's session. And on behalf of the TrainHR team, I'd like to thank you all for being part of today's webinar session. Today's webinar is being presented by Mr. Chris Devaney. A few words about Chris before we start off today's webinar session. Chris is the founder and president of Pinnacle Performance Improvement Worldwide, which is a firm which focuses on management and organization development. And Pinnacle's clients have included global organizations such as Visa International, Cadence Design Systems, Coca-Cola, Sprint, Microsoft, Aviva Insurance, and over 500 other organizations in 22 countries. And he also has consulted to government agencies from the United States, the Royal Government of Saudi Arabia, Canada, Cayman Islands, and the United Kingdom. And he also has published numerous articles in the fields of surviving mergers and acquisitions, surviving change, project management, sales, team building, leadership, customer service, diversity and work-life balance, and also in publications ranging from ASTD, performance in practice to customer service management. And his book, 90 Days to a High Performance Team, published by McGraw-Hill and often accompanied by in-person facilitated instruction, has helped and continues to help thousands of executives, managers, and team leaders improve performance. And he also recently participated in the Fortune 500 Annual Management Forum as a speaker, panelist, and a senior leader. And we are honored to have Chris with us today to present today's webinar session. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start off today's webinar, I'd like to quickly outline today's program. This webinar is for a 90-minute duration. First, Chris will take you through today's webinar session, highlighting the areas he would cover and then share with you his presentation. And also would like to inform all the participants today that once part of today's teleconference, you've been placed on mute and would remain so until the Q&A begins. We have a couple of minutes at the end for your question and answers, but if you do come up with questions during the session, please post them in the Q&A panel or the chat messenger. And for any reason, if you do get logged out of today's session, please follow the same procedure to join in again. Now that we're all ready, I request Chris to take it from here. Chris?
Michael, thank you very much, and greetings, everyone. So glad you could join us today, especially this time of year when many of us have year-end pressures being placed on us. So let me waste no further time and dive in. We're going to talk about working smart and what we can do to become even more effective in both our jobs and our lives. So yes, we'll talk about effective time and task management in all aspects of our life and our work. And our objectives today are four. First, I'll describe the benefits of developing time management skills, and I'll be very clear about constructs we can use to categorize and then manage our time more effectively. Then we'll differentiate between different types of tasks. Next, we'll analyze and use some of the tools that will help us more effectively organize our tasks. And then, very importantly, I'll be taking you through, so I'll be practicing some proven rules and techniques for managing time effectively, and I'll be sharing with you some constructs, some tools, some tips and techniques, and then, of course, we'll have time before we conclude today, at least 10 minutes, for you to ask questions, both online and over the phone. And I'll do my very best to answer any and all questions that you have today. So with no further ado, let's dive in. Here's our agenda for today. We've already done the introduction and orientation. We'll talk about changes and choices, tools and rules, prioritizing and planning, moving through towards true effectiveness, and then giving you an opportunity, as Michael referenced earlier, to evaluate how today's webinar has been for you. So let me start by suggesting a time management skills hierarchy. And this is something we all use, whether we realize it or not. Some of us, I hope none of us on this call, but some of us, maybe at times, have used no system. I was actually leading a class about 3 weeks ago on time management, and I say respectfully, one of the participants in that workshop said that this is the system he uses. It's really, I try to respectfully suggest to him that it's not really a system, but he said, I'll remember. And amazingly, he has survived so far. We'll see how he goes moving forward. Most of us at times will use an ad hoc system. We might use Post-its. I hope none of us are tying strings on our finger. However, some of us at times, I'll speak for myself, will write a note on a napkin if we're over lunch or on a piece of paper. And as long as we are at least writing down what we're looking to address, that is an important start. So there is value for one aspect, and actually two of the three aspects mentioned here, of an ad hoc time management system. A number of us may use an appointment book. I know of several colleagues who do actually use a physical appointment book. Bottom line, it might be a little black book. It might be a desktop calendar. So now we're talking about an online representation. I want to encourage us to use both. Use both a written down system, a system for recording in writing what it is we're looking to accomplish. And for example, I use a running to-do list. And a number of people I know use them as well. I just want to encourage us, when we get an idea, no matter when and where it happens, it's very, very important to put pen to paper or put fingers to keyboard so it's saved somewhere. And a number of us, hopefully all of us, are using some degree of what we will call an efficiency-driven system. Organizers, PDAs, Outlooks, and or smartphones. And what we are looking to help us all is take whatever we are using, especially that is efficiency-driven, and give it a mission focus. And a little more about that later. One quote to give us a perspective on this comes from Ed Bliss. Effective people begin not with their work, but with their time. And I'm going to be a bit relentless about this, and I hope it's relentless in a good way for you, because I'm very self-driven, and I'm always open to suggestions for improvement. And as and when I receive suggestions for improvement, I write those down. And taking everything we're using today and giving it a mission focus. As I said, a bit more on that a little bit later. So our first module today is what we're calling changes in choices. The principle that we're addressing here is that the why will get you through any how. And I'm forgetting for just a moment, I want to say it might have been Kierkegaard. No, it was another philosopher whose name is escaping me. Someone here probably knows who it is, and that is where this principle comes from. One of our great philosophers over time, anyway, it'll come back to me, is that once we know the why, the purpose, the directive, and the rationale, that will get us through anyhow. So that's what we're starting to address here. So one question for us to consider is, how do we make most of our choices? Do we make most of our choices by impulse, by conscious choice, by pressure from others, by habit, or from default? And here's what I'd like to suggest. Here's a pie for us to look at. And yes, I do quote the source, Psychology Today. I'd like to speak to what we're looking at in a little more detail with some examples. So sometimes we do make decisions based on pressure from others. Sometimes we make choices based on impulse. Sometimes it's by default. Sometimes it's by conscious choice, and we'll come back to that in a moment. At the same time, though, 85% of our choices are made by habit. And in case you are questioning or wondering, you know, how is that true? How can you prove to me, Chris, that 85% of our choices are made by habit, not just because Psychology Today says it? Well, I'm glad, if you're asking that question, I'm glad you're asking, because I'm here to start answering that question. Think of it this way. We all make choices. I'll use